Hannah Tumai was the character's name, and she was a Māori girl who had been brought up in Australia. They neglected to tell me she needed an Australian accent. So on the first day on set, they said, you know she's Australian? And I was like, no, I had no idea. And so I had to, quickly learn. It was bad, it was terrible. I was not good at all, but I feel that it was a great beginning for me, instead of going to drama school, to learn script, to understand it. We had a drama teacher, but I was so young, and I got the bug, I guess. And it was an amazing experience. And just watching, it taught me, Homeward Bound taught me to watch and to listen and to observe. And I think that's invaluable as an actress, as an actor. And it just, it started a very young career. As we were just saying, I've been now acting for 23 years. So it's what I do, it's all I know, and I love it. We did the pilot when I was 18, and it was done in Wellington, and the pilot was obviously picked up, and we did 2 seasons, I think. That, again, was an amazing experience for me, being 18 and learning, and the character I played was Vita Jamison. My God, it's coming back. And she was very much who I was, in the fact that I was very green, I was very naive, and I was working with people like Katie Wolf and Tim Balm. And I think even Robbie Mangasiva had a reoccurring role as the cameraman, which was wonderful. And it was like going to drama school for me. Perhaps I should have been going to Toi Whakaare, but instead I was working and getting paid to learn. And I met some incredible people at that time. And again, I probably was a bit ropey, but what I learnt were the tools that I've gone on to use again and again and again. But I remember one day on Cover Story, I had to cry, and I was like, I had no idea how to. And at the time, our makeup artist, she had these little tubs of Carmex, which is lip balm, and it had like a menthol in it. And so in between takes, I was like dotting it right in the corner of my eyes, and I'd look away, and then they'd call action, and I would just cry, and they were like, Simone, that's so good. And I was like, thanks. And I never said or told anyone that I was rubbing Carmex in the corner of my eyes. But that was Cover Story. And I think with Cover Story, I just loved Wellington. I fell in love with Wellington. And I fell in love with all of those actors, and I learnt. So again, that was just a really special time. Greenstone was the time to step up as an actress, and I think what was there on the page, it was really hard because it was period. It was something no one had done before. It was Television One, I remember as well. So I think there were a lot of issues before we even shot. Don Selwyn was the Māori advisor on that, and he put me through my paces. Don did, because I wasn't fluent in Māori at all. I was at all. And I remember for the audition he wanted me to do The Merchant of Venice in Māori, and I remember thinking, oh my God, is Greenstone all in reo? Am I going to have to speak Māori? And obviously it wasn't, but. And I remember getting and I was thinking, I don't know if I'm right for this role. And then we did so many camera tests, and it happened. It worked. I think it was a tough project because of the scope and the size of Greenstone, and I loved every minute of it. I don't think with Greenstone I could I didn't have enough experience to pull off what they needed, I don't think. Apart from the costumes and the locations, and I mean, they had this beautiful sailing ship. It was a lot of money and time was spent on it, but it was a very difficult project for me because I was 20, and I don't think I had the tools enough to be able to deal with a role of that magnitude as well. Yeah. That's actually one of the roles I'm very proud of, because it was so lovely to speak again in a Kiwi accent, and just be this girl, this really heartbreaking young woman who made decisions that in the end killed her, and it's very prevalent in our life and our world. So Underbelly was wonderful to work on, and coming back to Australia, it made me. Because New Zealand obviously is, is my everything and my heart and everything, but Australia's been my home now on and off for the last like 18, 19 years, I guess. Yeah, so that was, I really enjoyed working on Underbelly a lot. Washington, Lieutenant Washington was my character, Wash. And I worked my ass off. I worked the hardest I actually physically have ever worked on a role. Not just accent, because having worked in America, my American accent is very good, but it was more, she was a fighter, and she fought dinosaurs. And, you know, and with any role you believe it. And I had these great guns and these weapons, but every day I would be up at 5 and I would be skipping and push-ups. And like before I started that show, I couldn't do a push-up to save myself. I was doing push-ups and I was lifting weights and I was getting big. And I remember like at 5 a.m. asking where I was staying in an apartment block if they could turn on the floodlights so I could do court sprints on the tennis court. And I think at that point I was like, okay, you need to pull it back. And then my character got shot in the head at the end, which I remember being devastated about that because I'd worked so hard and I thought I was doing a really good job. But they have to kill off a character every season and my character got the chop, but the show didn't go on. And that was the end of Terra Nova. But from it really, from working on Terra Nova, created yet another layer for me as an actress and created another character that I can draw upon whenever I need. So she's kind of the Michelle Rodriguez of Avatar. She's kick-ass and it was awesome and I got to kick ass a lot and I loved it. I really loved it, yeah. It was a UK production, co-pro with Australia, and we shot half of it in India and half of it in Queensland, and that was an amazing experience. Josh Hartnett was the lead, and then a Bollywood star, Bipasha Basu, who is like Jennifer Aniston or something like that in India. So again, that was an incredible experience, getting to put on the costumes like in the Greenstone days or Treasure Island and wear these incredible costumes and be in this period. And I got to play a British governess, and it was set around 1820. And he liked the idea that I was dark to play this role as a British governess. Are you kidding? This should go to a red-haired, you know, actress. But he liked the idea of that because he said he thought I looked like a gypsy. And of that time, that was very in fashion. And I got that role and I loved working on that show. And we rehearsed solidly for 3 weeks in full costume in the jungle in like 42 degrees heat, because he said when we get to India it will be like that and you have to prepare yourself. So we would have corsets, layers, the men were in woolen coats, you know, it was incredible. And I got to really, I think the Lovers they're now calling it, it was in the marketplace at Cannes this year, so it should be out soon. But the interesting thing about that as an actress was for myself was to learn to trust. And Roland Joffe, given his vast experience, would stop me and say, what is your fear? What don't you trust? It's all there, you have to trust. And basically from that point, it just all my fears, and every actor, every performer knows these fears creep in, and unemployment or not getting that role or not being good enough or not being tall, skinny, fat, whatever it is enough. He really taught me to trust. And I think that was a big turning point for myself in acting and in my career. I'm working on a show right now called Wonderland, which is a Channel 10 show here in Australia, and it's been amazing. I've been on it for 6 months now. Shot 22 episodes. We're on our last block, and it's been amazing. It's been a real challenge. This character that I'm playing right now, she is damaged goods, hooker with a heart of gold. Was. No, but I've loved playing this character of Sasha, and she's really, again, it's another layer for me as an actress, and I think that's something now I can say that I guess I'm looked at now as a character actress as well. And I think I'd love to go home to New Zealand and not have to play a part Māori. I'd like to be able to just play a woman, you know, and I think then I would have come full circle.